Hello everyone and welcome to another Tutorial Thursday. My name is Swiss and we are going to be going over common mistakes that Snake players make. That's right, we're going to be going over common mistakes that maybe you make and most Snakes actually make, and I'll go over how to actually get around that and how to be a better Snake overall. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. And so we're going to be going over the first mistake that most Snake players make, and that's going to be dash attacking too much, or the urge to dash attack. And the reason I say that is because a lot of Snake players tend to use dash attack way too much, especially considering that, of course, the move is good, but if your opponent knows the matchup and how to get around dash attack, then in that case being said, you're going to end up being punished a lot more. So when people know that you're going to dash attack, that's the main tool that Snakes use to actually get inside and actually fight your opponent up close when they actually don't want to play at full range. Now, the counter to this, of course, is mainly just dashing backwards or a pivot grab or something like that, or even just shielding it, because it normally doesn't cross up until you're at a really close range, such as like around here normally. So in that case being said, if they're far away, such as this or something like that, then more than likely they're going to end up in front of you if they shield it, or in this case being said, they can just dash back and then punish you for actually doing it, because there's quite a amount of end lag as far as dash attack goes. And the best way to actually get around this is primarily just not dash attacking as much as possible, or at least doing it up close. Now, Snake has a lot of ways to actually get in. He's got running down tilt, he's got run up F tilt, up tilt, grab, RAR back air, short hop down air, short hop neutral air, and so on and so forth. He has a lot of options to come in, and that's even without grenades. So if you count it grenades in, you know, there's a lot of things you could use to actually get inside. So dash attack is just something that is a good option to come in with, but you don't want to actually abuse it or use it too much, unless you want to like condition your opponent just by throwing out like a couple dash attacks, see how they react to it, and then play around that. So if you dash attack a couple of times, you notice that they're shielding or something like that, then you can just run up and start grabbing, or, you know, just picking a different way to actually counter how they're reacting to dash attack. So hopefully that helps, and now we're going to move on to the next tip. And so mistake number 2 is going to be jumping as soon as you get hit or knocked off stage primarily. And what I mean by that is most Snakes tend to just jump immediately as far as getting knocked off stage. Not so much in that specific angle, but I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to explain to you. So as soon as you get hit, the common thing that a Snake player wants to do is jump and then up B, which you don't really want to do immediately, because most people at this point will actually be able to know that's coming and then be able to punish you with an aerial or something like that. So you want to be sure that when you're recovering, if you want to jump and recover high, make sure that you're far enough off stage to where your opponent can't actually hit you, because most people do it at around this angle right here. Like at that specific distance, they'll just jump and then up B, and that's the time where you can get punished. But when you're farther off stage, then it's okay to do that, because most characters can't actually get out there that fast. So another thing you could also do is, instead of just doing that, you can wait to jump. You can wait like first and then jump, so you can like delay it, or you could just go for ledge. You know, you don't have to actually go high. So that's one thing that Snake players tend to do as far as mistake number 2 goes. But let's go ahead and move on to mistake number 3. And now we're going to move on to mistake number 3. And this kind of ties in with mistake number 2 as far as jumping goes. So that's going to be for dropping C4, jumping in the air and dropping C4. And this is a common mistake, because as far as Snake goes, a lot of players tend to just, when they get hit, launched up, they jump and then drop the C4. Now, there is some time for your opponent to actually hit you for doing this. And I think the main reason why Snakes actually do this is because they want to hurry up and drop the C4 and use it as coverage, so that way they can get at a disadvantage and actually land back down. Or they could want to use the C4 to actually hit the opponent for wanting to come up and hit them, which doesn't necessarily work. So in this case being said, I mean, if you're at a really high point such as this or something like that, then that could be beneficial for you because it'll be a lot harder for your opponent to actually come up and hit you. But if they have like a high jump like Palu or Falco or someone like that, they can get up really fast in the air, then you generally don't want to do that. I mean, what you could do to kind of like escape it, I mean, you could just up B just to reset momentum if you would like, or you could just choose other options as far as just getting down in general. You could do C4 but like B reverse it, you know, or, you know, choose another option as far as B reversing with nades goes. You can drop down with the back air. But there are a lot of other options to landing. Of course, that's going to be in my getting out of disadvantage video. You can use that as a guide to help you out. But primarily, jumping and C4ing or just dropping the C4 and then jumping is really not going to be the best thing for you, though it does show to work. But in a situation where your opponent knows the matchup, of course, it's definitely not going to work. And so we move on to mistake number 4, and that's going to be jumping back on stage with an aerial. And generally, in this specific angle, most people tend to actually want to jump back on the stage and then use like an aerial, whether it's back air, neutral air, or anything like that. Which is okay, because if your opponent doesn't actually expect it, then in this case being said, you can actually land a hit. But if your opponent does expect it, all they need to do is just dash back, and then they can forward smash you, or they can grab you. Pretty much they can punish you for it. Even if they shield it, they can actually punish you for it, because Snake's landing lag for his aerials are really long. So in that case being said, it is a risky option, but a lot of Snake players tend to do that because they want to hit their opponent for actually rushing to the edge and trying to edge guard him in some way. So again, the best thing to do to actually not do this is that when you're launched at this specific angle, this is normally when people want to just come back on with like an aerial, something like that. But I would just say sometimes you just have to refrain from doing that. Just go for the ledge, or just go for the recovery, you know, and up B instead. You know, you don't want to always go on a full offensive or be a masher, I guess people would call it, and just try to hit your opponent in any way, shape, or form that you can. So you just have to have patience altogether and not try to actually worry about always hitting your opponent. Sometimes you just have to be patient and play it safe. And so the final mistake, mistake number 5, is the big one, and that's going to be blowing yourself up. Blowing yourself up. That's right, I said it. Blowing yourself up. And what I mean by that is obviously getting hit by your own grenades and C4s, right? And how do you get around that? Well, don't get hit or shield. Just kidding. Anyways, so as far as C4 goes, I mean, obviously it has a 26-second timer, and there's a lot of people that actually don't blow up the C4, and they don't really keep it in mind. And then they end up getting hit when the timer does actually go off and the C4 accidentally blows up, or like blows up on itself, and then you end up getting hit. So what I tend to do is when I put a C4, I do keep it in the back of my mind that the C4 is there and it's right here. And as far as like a little bit of time passes by, like 10 or 15 seconds, I'll remember, okay, this C4 is still here. Let me get rid of it, and then let me just put it back where I want it to be, or if I want to change C4. That way I don't actually get hit by it. Or as far as like the C4 goes, you can just stay away from it if you wanted to, but you know, generally most Snake players like to play around it, so that way it acts as a wall. So again, if you realize, hey, it's been some time, the C4's been here, just blow it up and then put it back, and then, you know, reset to what you were doing before. It only takes like a second or two just to even do that, so it's not like terrible, especially if you have like a grenade covering you and stuff like that. You can just blow it up real quick and then just put it back down and then continue your pressure. As far as grenades goes, I mean, it seems that some Snake players that I do play don't actually tend to understand, or maybe don't have a full comprehension of like when grenades are going to blow up. I would say that just takes getting used to, going into training mode, playing around with grenades, getting used to the timing without having to count or anything like that, because some people do count for some reason, which sounds very sounds like a headache, to be honest. But anyways, so when you have grenades around, you know, don't be afraid to shield them either, because even though you have to sit in shield, grenades don't do as much shield damage as they used to before, ever since the whole shield buff nerf thing happened. So you don't have to be like, don't be uncomfortable to just have to shield if a grenade's gonna blow up. Or don't be afraid to just move around it, jump over it, or anything like that. You don't have to worry too much about it either for the grenades, because the hitbox is smaller for Snake than it is for other characters and their opponents. So you don't have to worry about that too much as well. You can be closer to the grenade and not get hit than your opponents would have to be. So again, just get used to the timing of the grenades, play around with it in training, or just keep using grenades so you get used to it. And if they throw them back at you, again, don't be afraid to shield, because again, it doesn't do a lot of shield damage anyways, so it's not even a big deal. Or you can even duck. If they do throw it back at you, you can duck and then it'll normally just fly right over you, unless it's like fully cooked or something like that. Then obviously that's a different story. But anyways, I really hope that helps out, guys, as far as 5 common mistakes that Snake players make. Again, thank you so much for watching the video. My name is Swiss. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you all on the next video.
Never duplicate you, never multiply two. Everyone copy and paste, mask all up in on their face. Disney fantasy MPH, they are cool with their complacent. You feel it in you, then you brush it off you. Insignificant, but you got something we want, and your whole life is a taunt, cause you will not just comply. Waking up for your day.